I'm operating the technology today, so if anything doesn't move when it's supposed to, it's because I haven't clicked the switch, or I've got too enthusiastic. So let's begin with some responses. The earth is the Lord's and everything in it. We thank you, Creator God. For the food the earth supplies, we thank you, Provider God. For our farmers and manufacturers, we thank you, Generous God. For our shop workers and volunteers, we thank you, Enabling God. For all harvest gifts, we thank you, Bountiful God. And so we're going to sing that well-known song, We Plough the Fields and Scatter the Good Seed on the Land. Now, I've been told you can't hear me through this. Is that right? Oh, it's coming through now, is it? Okay. I thought I had such a loud voice, I didn't need it so high, but obviously I don't have such a loud voice. So I've got a story from the Gospel of Luke, and it says this. Jesus told the people a story. The farm of a certain rich man produced a terrific crop. He thought to himself, what can I do? My barn isn't big enough for this harvest. And he said, here's what I'll do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. Then I'll gather in all my grain and goods. And I'll say to myself, well, you've done well. You've got it made and can now retire. Take it easy and have the time of your life. Just then, God showed up and said, fool, tonight you will die, and your barn full of goods, who gets it? That's what happens when you fill your barn with self and not with God. I like that story because it's a reminder to me as someone that's moved. I think I'm in my 13th house since I've been born, and I've moved several times with John, and each time we move, we think, we're not going to fill our house with more stuff. And then we moved to the rectory in Port Stewart, and those of you who know the rectory know it's a nice big house, and we said, John's retired, I will be retiring in a few years, we'll not fill the rectory with stuff. Then you can say to me, so how's that working out for you, Gilly? It's a reminder to us, isn't it, that we if we're not careful, we load ourselves with stuff. We put our priority in what we've got. It's not just about farmers with farms and produce. It's about all of us and the amount of stuff that we feel we need in order to survive or to thrive. It's a reminder to us that actually we don't need all that stuff, that there is plenty to share around if we don't take everything for ourselves. So we're going to sing two songs now that ARWs sing, and Undies. The first song is called Cabbages and Greens. It's the Harvest Samba. Now, we practice this Friday night. It is fast. You children have got very quick tongues because I don't know how you manage to sing it so fast. But you need to be on your feet and ready to sing with this one because it is a fast one, but it's great. And can I just say, if you're like me, you'll go to bed tonight and all you'll hear is that flipping Harvest Samba going through your head. Because it's been in my head for 3 days so far. So the Harvest Samba, please do stand. You can come out the front? Yeah. Do you want this so you can hear them as well? See if you can get some of them to come in. Does that work? You might be able to. Don't worry about that, because they'll be making so much noise anyway. So. Right, let's go.
Cabbages and greens, broccoli and peas, corn and flour, roasted potatoes, taste so good to you. Apricots and plums, ripened in the sun, oranges and yellow bananas, good for everyone. It's an harvest festival, when we bring up food vegetables, watching all the shared vegetables, and good things that we need.
must admit, when I listen to that, it's a samba. I want to ask, why strictly aren't having our own Wyn Evans doing his... Those of you that were here early might have seen me actually do a bit of trying to do a samba down there earlier on. The next one we're going to sing is one called Cauliflower Stuffy. Do you want some words? You know it. You know it. So, have we got another copy? Sorry, we were told you knew them all, but there are a lot of words to remember.
A lot of words.
There are a lot of words.
Really well before us, and after that,
I know.
a little bit.
Yeah. Okay then. So, cauliflower stuffing, cabbages green.
Cauliflower stuffy and cabbages green, short and sweeter than any I've seen. Pink shoots purple and onions white, all roast every day and night. The apples are ripe and the plums are red, the broad beans are sleeping in the breakfasty bed. Butter is juicy and good one's sour, marrow is fattening hour by hour. Gooseberries berry and lettuce is fat, radish is grand and butter is fat. The apples are ripe and the plums are red, the broad beans are sleeping in the breakfasty bed. Orangey carrots and turnips green, red leaves tomatoes glistering green, brown oysters and little leaves, down in the dumps and celery sticks. The apples are ripe and the plums are red, the broad beans are sleeping in the breakfasty bed.
Well done. So if you'd like to go and sit down, and then we'll be having another one from ARW in a little bit. So we had one story about a farmer. I'm going to tell you another story called Frank and the Pea Stalk. It may bear a little resemblance to something that you already know. And the reason we do this story is, as a church, there's two things we're collecting for this harvest. One is for the local food bank, for which you see bits and pieces of having collected there. And the other is for Christian Aid. It's an organisation that does a lot of work in many countries around the world, particularly Africa. And this is to do with some of the stuff that Christian Aid are doing at the moment. I could remember to click the switch at the same time. Once upon a time, there was a man called Frank. He lived in a beautiful land called Malawi. Frank was very poor. He didn't have a cow, but he had been taught how to grow food by his beloved grandfather. His grandfather showed him which crops to plant, and when and where he should plant them, to make sure that their family would have enough food to eat. One day, Frank planted some sweet corn in the warm sun and the rich earth. The sweet corn grew beautifully, but in this land lived a nasty ogre who would send bad weather to destroy people's crops. And so what I want from you guys is every time I say pea, I want you to go, fo fum, extreme weather, here I come. Got that? Fee, fi, fo fum, extreme weather, here I come. That year, the ogre stopped the rain from coming and made the heat from the sun stronger. Slowly, in the hot, dry weather, Frank's sweet corn plants began to shrivel up. The sweet corn husks slowly drooped before they shriveled and died. With no food to harvest, Frank and his family were hungry that year. The next year, Frank planted some sweet potatoes. In the warm sun and the rich earth, the sweet potatoes grew beautifully. But then the words of the nasty ogre rang through the land once again. Fee, fi, fo, fum, extreme weather, here I come. This time, the ogre sent rain. Hooray, rain! But the rain didn't stop. We know about that, don't we? It rained and it rained, so much that the fields flooded and swept away most of the sweet potatoes. The ones that were left grew mushy in the ground until they rotted away. With no food to harvest, Frank and his family were very hungry that year. Frank was in despair. Everything he tried to grow was destroyed by the nasty ogre. But then he met a man who offered him some peas. These peas did not look like anything special, but Frank planted them anyway. What he didn't know was that these peas were special, very special. The peas that Frank planted grew big and strong. Fee, fi, fo, fum, extreme weather, here I come. The ogre once again sent hot, dry weather to destroy Frank's crops. But the peas didn't mind, and in the hot sun, the peas that Frank had planted grew bigger and bigger. Fee, fi, fo, fum, extreme weather, here I come. This time, the ogre sent heavy rains to flood the fields and wash the crops away again. But the can't see it. I've got my fees and my foes gone. But the peas Frank planted had deep, strong roots, and in the heavy rains, they grew bigger and stronger. That year, Frank and his family harvested their lovely peas and ate until their stomachs were full. In this story, Frank did not destroy the ogre, but he did defeat him. This ogre is called climate change and still lives in Malawi, changing the weather and hurting people's harvests. But thanks to the amazing peas, Frank's family can live alongside the ogre and will hopefully never go hungry again. This is an adaptation of Jack and the Beanstalk, if you hadn't guessed. But our big ugly ogre isn't a giant, it's climate change. And our hero doesn't get to destroy the ogre, he learns to live alongside it. And our beans are peas, because it's special peas that are helping farmers like Frank in Malawi to adapt to the effects of climate change and grow enough food to eat. I find this a really interesting story. I've got a friend, a lovely friend called Chris, who's been out to Kenya a number of times recently. The first time they went out, one of the group that went with them is someone who's an expert in horticulture and farming, arable farming, and he did exactly the same thing. He went out and he talked to the local farmers and smallholders about what they were planting, and he gave them advice as to the conditions. They tested the soil to see what the pH was, what the nutrients were. They looked at the weather, what they could expect this year. They went out about a year later, and one of the gentlemen that had been to visit came running out to see them and said, come, you've got to come with me, come and look. And in his store shed, he said, there's 2 sacks of crop. That's usually what I have for a year. And then he pointed to the other side where there are at least 20 sacks of crop. And just having the right knowledge and the right information and the right seeds to plant makes a huge difference. And I guess it's a reminder to us that we send aid, sometimes we have to send aid, don't we? We have to send the actual food out or whatever. But when possible, the best aid we can give is to help people to be self-sufficient and to also recognise the effect that we're all having on this earth. I was talking in Port Stewart Church this morning and saying, our store cupboard is full of exotic things, but they have to come from somewhere. They're not local, they have to come from somewhere. And guess what, you kids? I can remember the first time ever my mum cooked spaghetti bolognese. And I was a child, and we all looked at spaghetti bolognese and thought, what is that? What is this strange food that she's dished up? Because years ago, we lived with what we had in the country. And now we've got more access to sort of really nice plum tomatoes and stuff like that. We can cook more exotic foods. But it's a reminder to us as well that God has provided this beautiful creation. We can provide food, we can grow stuff, if you know what you're doing. In my case, I don't, so I can't grow much. But God has provided, but he also expects us to share it. And that's what's so important, is that we share the stuff that we've got, that we think about climate change. And I know at ARW, you think about that very seriously, because I've heard you talk about it. And you think about our effect on the world. And that when God made this world, he gave us all a mission, if you like. He appointed us all as stewards. He expects us to look after it on his behalf. And unfortunately, we don't always manage it. We're going to sing another song in a minute called Beauty for Brokenness. And it's a song that talks about the world in which we live and how we could make a difference. And during this time, if anyone would like to do what we've done in previous years and pin an autumn leaf to the tree as a way of recognising some situation in the world which you want God to intervene in, and put it on the tree as a prayer. So it may be something close to home. You might have a pram that's not very well, or you might be worrying about a situation at school. Or it might be something you've seen on the news that you're worrying about. And it's just our way of saying, God, we want you to remember this situation. So you come up as you want to. You'll sing Beauty for Brokenness. If you know the song, join in. If you don't, just enjoy singing. And I've got to remember to click the switch, otherwise they won't get any words coming up.
His
well done. I apologise for how hard it is to get these drawing pins in. We did it one year with just bits of sellotape. And the thing is, we like to put these out in the porch for people to see as they walk past. And as you can imagine, the autumn leaves just flew away. So we now use drawing pins and we discover who's got the strongest thumb, which happens to be Mary, wherever you are. No, not you, other Mary. Can't see where you've gone there. But anyway, yes, so that's why we use drawing pins now, because we can put that out and people can see what we've been doing in the church. We're going to sing another song now called Autumn Days, and while I was putting the service together, my daughter was on FaceTime running through the Peak District like this. Only a 10-mile run today, she said, in the pouring rain. And she said, "What are you doing, Mum?" And I said, "Oh, I'm getting the service ready for harvest for today and for Thursday, which is ARW's whole school harvest." And she suddenly burst into song, singing Autumn Days. And she knew all the words. So then she's singing Autumn Days down the phone as she's running along at the same time. It is one of my favourite songs. It's quite interesting because some things date a little bit. You notice when you get to the line about the milkman, you'll think, remember that from long ago. But please do stand. And do we want the children at the front again? Yeah? I've got one copy of music. Can we see if we can find another one? There's got another spare. There you go. Can you manage? You hold that one. You know all the words to you, do you? Probably do. Oh, right.
Autumn days when the grass is green and silk inside the chestnut show, gently sneezing in the air to feel the fuel, and the birds are not so hard for us to forget. No, I mustn't forget to say a great big thank you, and that's to forget. Clouds falling like familiar faces, and the winter's filled with frosty rains. So I bring us across our places, I mustn't forget. No, I mustn't forget to say a big, big thank you, I mustn't forget.
Well done. That was absolutely brilliant. And then on Thursday, if anyone would like to come to ARW's harvest service on Thursday, it's at 10 o'clock here in the church. And we'll have the whole school singing this, and they love singing it. They are so good. So now a blessing for you all. May the road rise up to meet you. May the wind be always at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face. The rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Amen. In a moment we're going to sing the Grace, which is something we always sing in church after the family service, and which the children at ARW have learnt. Just before I mention that, I mentioned that we have a tea afterwards. Please feel free to share in the tea. You don't have to bought anything, just come and have fellowship and spend some time here. This coming Friday, we have a quiz night in the hall at 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock, it's cheese and wine. Bring your own wine. The cheese, and presumably biscuits to put the cheese on, will be provided. Would you like to see Chris? Put your hand up, Chris. This lady here, if you'd like to bring a team along to the quiz night, I'm bringing a team. We will be the team that knows a lot about nothing. But that should be fun. Our next family service is the 3rd of November at 3 o'clock. And finally, on the 2nd of November, the day before, we have a service at 4 o'clock, a service for all souls. It's a time when we remember the people that we've loved and lost, a time when you can light a candle, have their name read out, and just remember them in a quiet service. The church will be open from 3 o'clock for those who'd just like to come and sit in a quiet church. So that's on the 2nd, and then the 3rd, the next day, is our family service. I think that's it. Any other? No, I think that's it. So would you like to stand? We're going to sing Little Race. And ARW children, you probably don't know or don't remember that we start off slowly here. And unfortunately, Steve here can't help himself and we get faster and faster and faster. So it's our turn to see if you can catch up with us.
It is faster than half summer, but yeah. You may look great.